Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome back to our English class. I hope everybody is all settled in and, of course, still ready for this evening, no, for our session this evening. Again, please settle in if you are not all still settled in. I hope also that you are ready, no, to continue with our exercises this evening. Now, as I've mentioned, we're going to do some exercises still this evening. Just like in the past few sessions, we did also exercises to assess your understanding of our topic discussion on oil and gas. Now, so far, we already did the first three exercises. We have the match terms to definitions, in which we did determine if each definition matches the term correctly. After that, we also did multiple choice quiz, in which we select the correct answer from four options, and then followed by true or false challenge, which we did yesterday, in which we determine if each statement is true or false. Those are the different exercises that we did so far to assess your understanding, to check your understanding or what you have learned from our discussions on oil and gas vocabulary. Now, each exercises, we have 10 items, right? Now, this is we already did a review on the first two exercises. Yesterday we did the true or false challenge. Okay, it looks like this. But before that, let me do just a quick check if my screen is showing and my audio is working. Okay, all good. I can proceed now. Now, this is the challenge or the exercise that we did yesterday. It is a true or false challenge in which we determine if each statement is true or false. So there are two options, and these are the different items. Okay, so if you want to know more about what we did yesterday, if you weren't able to really be there at during our session, or if you want to look back, our video is always up. Okay, you can always watch it again. Now, we're going to continue with the other two sets of exercises, fill in the blank and scenario based challenge. Let's start immediately with fill in the blank. But before that, let's do a breathing exercise to really help ourselves be totally ready and settled in for the exercises. On my cue, inhale, exhale. One more time. Inhale, exhale. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Uh, I guess everybody is ready. Yeah, before that reminder, if you want to share your answers, I would highly encourage you to do so. And you can do that by commenting, no? You can use our comment box or chat section to share your answers to the different items um that will be tackled on later. Okay? Or not answer any kind of responses that you want to share. May it be a question or an answer or just a comment about something. You can always just chat it out on our chat box. Okay. I am constantly checking the chat box or the comment section, so that I can recognize, or so that can acknowledge your responses. Okay? All right. Thank you. Okay. Let's start immediately with the first exercise. Our first exercise is fill in the blank. This is typing the missing term to complete each sentence. Let's see. Okay, so this is the item. I mean, this is the quiz. For a moment, let me just, because I cannot see number one. I cannot scroll it properly. Okay, here we have number one. Let me just adjust the size so that it can really be seen, no, on my screen. All right. Now here again, the first exercise is fill in the blank. Type the missing term to complete each sentence. So we have 10 items in total. Now in these items, that's it's just very simple. We type our answer. So there are no options actually. No, we are going to come up with our answer. We do not just check on the options. Okay, there are no options. So we're going to type it out. So here it's not just basically the knowing what the answer is. Here is checking. So we're not just checking if you know the answer or what is the answer, but we are also checking if you know the spelling of the word or of the term. Okay, so let's start with number one. We have here a blank is a large valve that prevents well blowouts. Again, a valve is a large valve. A blank is a large valve that prevents well blowouts. So, okay, type your answers in 10 seconds. Go. Okay, what is your answer? We have again here, this is a valve. Now, what do we mean by a valve? If we say valve, what does it mean? Now, when we say valve, that is a mechanical or natural device that regulates, directs, or controls the flows of the fluids. It could either be liquid, it could either be solarities or gases, no, which we are going to talk about, which we have talked about in our past few discussions. So that is a valve. No, it controls the flow of the fluids by opening, closing, or partially obstructing the passages. So they are crucial for stopping, for starting, or throttling flow in systems, which can range from plumbing fixtures to, as explained by different sources. No, so that is a valve. Now in here in our oil and gas, it also mentioned that the purpose of this is to prevent well blowouts. What do we mean by blowouts? What do we mean by blowout? It's the same as gusher. Now, when we say blowout or gusher, this is an of uncontrolled release due to pressure. So it's not safe, basically. So the answer for this one refers to a critical safety device that would help to prevent well blowouts. So what do you think is the answer? This is BOP. Now what is BOP? Blowout preventer. Okay, that one. Blowout preventer. That is a large specialized valve. Let's check if it's correct. Okay, that is correct. Again, what was our answer here? It is blowout preventer. I don't know what happened. The answer got removed and I cannot type it again. But yeah, our answer here is blowout preventer. Again, blowout preventer or BOP is a large specialized valve that prevents well blowouts. So it is installed at the wellhead. No, you can think of it as the ultimate safety switch for an energy well because its primary job is to seal, to control and monitor oil and gas wells to prevent this uncontrolled release of pressure, which is we know it as blowout or gusher. So again, as I've mentioned earlier, this is a critical safety device. Okay? All right. We move on to then item number two. Do we have any questions for number one? Is all that is this all clear? Hopefully. Okay. Let's move on to item number two. Okay. The sentence is the blank is a member of the drilling crew working on the drill floor. Again, the blank is I'm so sorry. The blank is a member of the drilling crew working on the drill floor. Okay, type out your answer in 10 seconds. Go. Okay, now what is the answer for number two? Again, the sentence is the blank is a member of the drilling crew working on the drill floor. So we are talking about a person. No, we're talking about a person here. Now, do you remember what are the different terms during our discussions that refer to a person? We have what? We only have one that was mentioned, no, um uh, as mentioned that refers to the workers themselves, and we call it what? We call it roughneck. Roughneck. So this is the spelling Roughneck. That is one word. So you do not separate rough and neck with a space. Okay, so that is a complete one word. Roughneck. Now let's check. Okay, correct. Oh, the answer still got lost. But again, our answer here is roughneck. The roughneck is a member of the drilling crew. Let me just highlight it out for a moment. The roughneck is a member of the drilling crew working on the drill floor. That is correct. No, remember how did we define roughneck? That is the definition. So aside from that, we also learned that they handled drill pipe and operating equipment during drilling operations. No, this is basically they are skilled member of the drilling crew who performs the most physically demanding tasks on the drill floor of any oil rig or offshore platform. So they are working at the heart of the busy environment that is a modern drilling site. And roughnecks are responsible for handling heavy equipment and ensuring that the machinery keeps running during high stakes extraction operations so that there is no casualty, there is no emergency or bad things happening. Okay, so the life of a roughneck is really defined by intense labor and the mastery of specialized drilling tools. That is why I've already mentioned actually this during my discussion that despite that despite not despite but the entry level earning of a roughneck Despite being an entry level position, the average salary for roughneck, it is already high because it tries to be equal with how physically demanding the job is. Okay, it compensates to that labor, physical labor. So again, our answer for number two is roughneck. Next, we move on to number three. Blank involves drilling non-vertical wells to reach distant targets. Involves drilling non-vertical wells to reach distant targets. Okay, share your answers in 10 seconds. Okay, what is your answer here? It is um it is more of a type of drilling. So this type of drilling involves drilling non-vertical wells to reach distant targets. Our answer here would be directional drilling. Okay, that one. Directional drilling. Let's see. Okay, that is correct. Again, our answer here is directional drilling. So, directional drilling involves drilling non vertical wells to reach distant targets. That is directional drilling. Basically, it provides flexible angles. Unlike traditional methods that only go straight down, this technique involves intentionally deviating the wellbore along a planned path to reach targets that are not directly below the surface location. So there are flexible angles, as I've mentioned earlier. Because modern technology allows engineers to drill at various angles, which includes even reaching a full 90-degree horizontal turn. No, that's how flexible it is. So this method, with that in mind, this method can reach reservoirs that are located miles and miles away from the actual surface drilling site. No, it allows a single drilling rig to hit multiple specific sweet spots in an oil or gas formation without moving the entire setup because the drilling rig is the only one that's moving. No, so it's much more convenient that way. So moving a drill bit along a curved path requires much more than just a standard motor. So directional drilling really totally relies on high-tech downhole equipment to navigate deep underground. Okay? So that is one of the greatest advantages of directional drilling. Okay? Again, the answer for number three is directional drilling. Next, we move on to number four. Anblanc extracts crude oil and petroleum gases from underground. Share your answers in 10 seconds. Okay, what is our answer here? Again, the sentence is Anblanc extracts crude oil and petroleum gases from underground. That is, uh, since we're using the article an, the next word should start with a vowel. So it could either be A, E, I, O, or U. Now the answer here would be oil well. Okay, that's one. Okay, that is oil well. So an oil well extracts crude oil and petroleum gases from underground. That's our answer. Now, when we say an oil well, there is a hole or a boring that is drilled into the earth to extract these crude oil or petroleum gases from underground reservoirs. So, um, that is an oil well. It is a specialized boring or it is a specialized hole drilled deep into the earth to extract these oils or petroleum gases. So, drilling an oil is oil well is a massive engineering undertaking that totally requires precision and specialized materials to handle intense pressure and heat. Because of course it varies, no? The boring or the hole it varies, especially in depth. So these wells are fundamental access points for the world's energy supply. They try to bridge the gap between vast geological formations and the technology used to harvest them. Okay, that is an oil well. So again, let's check our answer. Okay, that is correct. Again, our answer is an oil well extracts crude oil and petroleum gases from underground. Okay, next we move on to item number 5. A blank processes crude oil into gasoline, diesel, and other products. Share your answers. Okay, what is our answer here? Again, the sentence is a blank process crude oil into gasoline, diesel, and other products. So, since we're using an article, the answer should start with a consonant. Okay? Quite opposite with number 3. Okay. So, what should be our answer here? What do you think? Blanc is a processes crude oil into gasoline, diesel. This is called the catalytic cracking. Okay, this is the spelling. Catalytic cracking. Okay, let's check our answer. Oh no, refinery. Ah yeah. I'm quite confused because it's quite the same. Let me correct myself. The answer should be refinery. So we are not able to see the answers from the previous items, but here in number 5, the answer should be refinery. Now, when we talk about catalytic cracking, I was confused because it's still talking about gasoline, diesel, and other products. It is a refining process, but the act of processing the crude oil, that is refinery. So catalytic cracking just uses the refining process. No? Yes, that might be confusing, but at least we know already that when we say catalytic cracking, that is the refining process that break down large molecules into gasoline and diesel. So it converts heavy crude fractions into gasoline and diesel. So that's why I'm confused. No, I overlapped the meaning. But anyway, the answer is refinery. Now, refinery here. Let's complete the sentence. A refinery processes crude oil into gasoline, diesel, and other products. So that is our answer. Okay, that is refinery. I hope everybody get that. That was just a small slip up because of overlapping definitions. So when we say a refinery, that is an industrial facility where the crude oil or the black gold extracted from the earth is processed and transformed into a variety of useful petroleum products. No? So that is refinery. Okay. Next, we move on to number 6. Blanc are used to inject water or carbon dioxide for enhanced oil recovery. Okay, share your answers in 10 seconds. Okay, what is your answer? I think it would be easy considering that there is a clue there. What do you think is our answer here? This is, or these are used to inject water or CO2 for enhanced oil recovery. That is, this is injection well. Okay, let's check the answer. Okay, correct. Again, our answer here is injection well. So injection well are used to inject water for or carbon dioxide for enhanced oil recovery. So that is why I mentioned it. There is a clue because it already mentioned about inject. Now, injection well, aside from this, is used to inject fluids, such as water, gas, or chemicals like carbon dioxide into an underground formation for enhanced oil recovery or waste disposal. No, that is an injection well. So, unlike a traditional production well that brings a barrel of oil to the surface, that is that. And an injection well works in reverse, pushing substances down into the earth. So there is dual purpose for this one. These wells are used for enhanced oil recovery. That's the first one, EOR, or for the safe disposal of waste fluids. Okay, that's the second one. Okay, that is number six. We move on to number seven. Okay, number seven, a blank. Let me just check. Okay, all good. Number seven, a blank is an entry level laborer performing maintenance on oil rigs. Again, a blank is an entry level laborer performing maintenance on oil rigs. What do you think is the answer? Okay. Share your answer in 10 seconds. Okay, what is our answer here? This is again an entry level laborer. Our answer should be roustabout. Okay, again, our answer is roustabout. So that is a one word. That is a spelling Roustabout. So remember that. Again, this is roustabout. A roustabout is an entry level laborer performing maintenance on oil rigs. That is a roustabout. Let's check our answer. Okay, that is correct. So, aside from roughneck, no, roustabout is also, or it also refers to the laborers, to the workers. So they serve as the foundational workforce of on an oil rig or within an oil field. They are often described as the camp of the oil industry because this role is essential for maintaining the busy environment and operational flow of both onshore and offshore drilling sites. So the roustabout is responsible for a wide array of general maintenance and support tasks that keep the drilling site safe and efficient. So that is a roustabout. Okay. Next, we move on to number 8. A standard unit of crude oil measurement is called a. Okay, share your answer in 10 seconds. Again, the a standard unit of crude oil measurement is called a what? Our answer here should be barrel of oil. So that is our answer, barrel of oil. Let's check it. Okay, that is correct. So basically, a standard unit of crude oil measurement is called a barrel of oil. Okay. So when we say a barrel of oil, remember the how do you call that? The standard, right? The standard unit of measurement for crude oil is equal to how much or how many US gallons? There are 42 US gallons or 159 liters. So that is the standard unit for crude oil. So a barrel of oil is what it is called, no? So it is not just a container, it is a precise mathematical definition that is used to track the lifeblood of modern industry, whether the oil is deep underground or moving through a pipeline or being traded on a stock exchange. It is measured in these specific units. The 42-gallon standard, that is the standard unit or measurement for crude oil, for crude oil. So that is the metric equivalent. The 159 liters that I've mentioned earlier for those using the metric system. So a single barrel is already quite heavy. They weigh approximately 300 pounds or 136 kilograms. Okay, so that is a barrel of oil. Now, of course, I've already mentioned it on my discussion why the industry uses such specific number like 42 US gallons because there is a bit of history, no, about it. So if you want to know more, then you can look back to our discussion for this one. Okay, all right. We move on to number nine. Okay, number nine. Blanc is a natural gas cooled to negative 162 degrees Celsius for efficient transport. Share your answers in 10 seconds. Okay, what is your answer here? Number nine. Again, the sentence is it is a natural gas cooled to negative 162 degree Celsius for efficient transport. That is what we call LNG. What is LNG? That is liquefied natural gas. Okay, that's this one. Liquefied natural gas or LNG. Liquefied spelling is LIQUEFIED. The natural gas. So basically, liquefied natural gas or LNG is a natural gas cooled to negative 162 degrees Celsius for efficient transport. So that is correct. No, LNG or liquefied natural gas. It is a natural gas, of course, that has been cooled to an extremely low temperature, which is 162 degrees Celsius or negative 260 um, degree Fahrenheit. So this extreme cooling process changes the gas into a liquid state, which makes it convenient, much more convenient to transport because it shrinks the volume. When natural gas becomes a liquid, it occupies only 1/600th of its original gaseous volume. So that's already a great difference. Aside from that, it's when it comes to efficiency, the massive reduction in size is what makes it possible to store and to transport large amounts of energy efficiently. And in its liquid form, LNG is non-corrosive and non-toxic, though it must be kept at these essential freezing temperatures to stay liquid. So much more safe than the gas version of it. No, so well, the main point of having liquefied natural gas is for transportation of the energy across oceans because natural gas is usually a gas. So it is typically moved through pipelines. However, you cannot build a pipeline across an entire ocean. This is where LNG technology becomes a vital service for global energy. Okay? So that is liquefied natural gas. Let's check our answer. That is correct. Liquefied natural gas or LNG is a natural gas cooled to negative 162 degrees Celsius for efficient transport. Now we are on our last item for this exercise. System of Blanc transports oil and gas over long distances. Share your answers in 10 seconds. Okay, what is our answer here? Again, the item says this is a system of Blanc, or it is a system of Blanc, no? So we're referring to something here that transports oil and gas over long distances. So what should be our answer here? Again, this is a system of Blanc that transports oil and gas over long distances. This is, it starts with letter P. That is pipeline, or let's say pipelines. Okay? Of course, we refer to plural here. So again, the answer is pipelines. That is the spelling Pipelines. Pipelines. Now, let's try to read the whole sentence. System of pipelines transports sorry, oil and gas over long distances. Let's check the answer. Okay, that is correct. Now, what do you mean by pipelines? Because we are not defining pipelines here, but we're just mentioning it as a system of pipelines which transports oil and gas over long distances. Now, when we say pipeline, okay, remember that this is um actually pipelines or pipes. That's the correct term. It is how do you call that? It is focused more on as a sophisticated system of pipes that is designed to transport any kind of, especially crude oil and natural gas and refined products across vast distances. So these networks serve as a circulatory system of the global energy industry. Okay, that is pipeline. And that is all for the different items for this exercise. Again, our exercise focuses on what? For a moment, I cannot see number one. Okay, what happened? Anyway, this exercise focuses on fill in the blanks. So we try to fill out the or fill in the correct term for the item. No, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Do you have any questions? None. So we are going to go back and let's start immediately with the last exercise. So before that, let's do a breathing exercise. Quickly inhale, exhale. Okay. Inhale, exhale. All right. Let's start with the last exercise for oil and gas vocabulary. Scenario based challenge. You apply your knowledge to real world oil and gas scenarios. Let's see. There are also 10 items in here. Okay. For a moment. I cannot wait for a moment. I cannot scroll on the first item for some reason. I cannot see the question. Anyway, let's just move on to number three because numbers one and two cannot be seen. Okay. Now again, This is scenario-based challenge. So you choose the correct answer here. There are four options. It's more of a multiple choice question, but the question is much more leveled up. No, it's much harder. So this is so basically there's a situation and you try to guess what is it referring to. Okay, let's start with number three because we cannot really see numbers one and two. I don't know why I can't scroll it, but yeah, we start with number three. A rig worker handles drilling equipment on the floor. What is his job title? A rig worker handles drilling equipment on the floor. What is his job title? Okay, I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to answer. Okay, what is your answer? Actually, there are two options, not only two options here, because um, the other two was not mentioned as a term for oil and gas vocabulary discussion that we had. We have here roughneck and roustabout. So those are the only options that we are going to choose. Driller and engineer are not specific terms in oil and gas vocabulary. They are mentioned only in the explanation, elaboration, but they are not the specific terms, no part of the specific terms. So again, roughneck and roustabout are our options. Both refers to workers or laborers. So both refers to a person, but here it in the question it specifies a worker that handles drilling equipment on the floor. What do you think is this job? I think we already mentioned it in the previous exercise, right? This is what we call roughneck. Okay, that's correct. A roughneck is someone who handles drilling equipment on the floor. Okay? All right. So that is a roughneck. Now, a roughneck, that is a whole one word. No? A combination of two words, but that is a one word here. Roughneck. Okay. Let's move on to number four. Heavy crude needs processing into usable products. Where does this happen? Heavy crude needs processing into usable products. Where does this happen? So we are asking for the location here. So where does doing processing into usable product, processing the crude oil into usable products happen? Where? Okay, share your answers in 10 seconds. Okay, what is your answer here? Again, the item is asking heavy crude oil needs processing into usable products. Where does this happen? So, okay, let's try to check on the options. Okay, let's start with oil well. What is an oil well? Do you remember what's an oil well? We've mentioned it also in the previous exercise. This is a hole, a specialized hole, which we also call as boring. So an oil well is a specialized boring or hole that is drilled deep into the earth to extract crude oil and petroleum gases from underground reservoirs. So these wells are the fundamental access points for the world's energy supply as it bridges the gap between vast geological formations and the technology used to harvest them. Now, basically, an oil well, that is the place, no, where crude oil and petroleum gases are extracted. So we're still extracting here, we're still getting the crude oil and petroleum gases. There's still no processing here, no, of crude oil. So we are still on the first step. That is the oil well. So oil well is not our answer because again, in oil well, we are still extracting, not processing. Okay? All right. Now we move on to the um next option, pipeline. Now, pipeline, as you remember, what is it? What is pipeline? Pipeline is a system of pipes that used to transport crude oil, natural gas, and refined products over long distances from production sites to refineries to storage, distribution points, etc. Basically, pipeline is for transportation of the crude oil, natural gas, or refined products. So this is not still our answer. Again, oil well is for extraction, pipeline is for transportation. Next, we have the gas station. Well, how do we define a gas station? What is a gas station? Anyone? Okay, remember gas station. This is a retail facility where motor vehicles are refueled with gasoline, diesel, or alternative fuels. Also, this is called a filling station, a petrol station, or service station. That is a gas station. So this is a retail facility. We're already selling the oil. So this is still not the correct answer. Now we are left with one option, and that is refinery. So our answer is letter C, or third option, refinery. Okay, that's correct. Again, refinery allows heavy crude oil to be processed into useful or usable products. That is refinery. Okay. Now let's go back to the different options. Again, oil well is for extraction, pipeline is for transportation, refinery is for processing, gas station is for selling. Okay. All right. Now let's move on to number 5. Okay, that one. Number 5, a depleted well needs permanent sealing. What process is required? Again, a permanent well needs I mean, a depleted well needs permanent sealing. What process is required? Okay, share your answers in 10 seconds. Okay, what is our answer here? That is, okay, before we try to answer, let's try to process or check what are the options. Let's start from the bottom for now, no? Since we started at the top earlier. So we have fracking. Now, the word or the term fracking was not discussed explicitly in our discussion. No, it's not included in the 25 essential terms. But let's define it. Fracking. Fracking, when we say fracking, that is also called hydraulic fracturing. So basically, hydraulic, when we say hydraulic, it is involving water. So hydraulic fracturing or fracking. Now, basically, fracking, it is still a drilling technique that is used to extract oil and gas from tight, impermeable shale rock formations by, okay, this is where water is included already. It we try to extract oil and natural gas by injecting high pressure mixtures of waters, sand, and chemicals. So this process creates fissures that release trapped hydrocarbons, which are then brought to the surface. So that is a fracking. No, it involves water. Okay, it was water, sand, and cocktail of chemicals that are pumped deep underground at high pressure to open up cracks or fractures in the rock, which releases the oil or gas trapped inside. So that's fracking. We intentionally make fractures through the use of high pressure water to open up these cracks. Though, when you try to think about it, um, fracking is seen as a way of extracting even more of these polluting fuels. No? So that is a fracking. Next, we have injection. Well, the term injection itself, no, we have injection well, right, in the how do you call that in our discussion, injection well. But the word injection itself, because injection, it's only injection that's here as an option. It is a method of delivering any kind of medication, fluids, or nutrients directly into the body, which we use as needle and syringe here. But that's far from injection well. Okay. Next, we have directional drilling. Directional drilling is those, or is that the one who provides flexible drilling? So basically, it goes far away from the traditional method, which is just going straight down, but it can also change direction, even horizontal, no, katong 90 degrees. So that is directional drilling. And still not what we're looking for. So the only option left is plugging of well, and that is the correct answer. Plugging of well refers to um, a depleted permanent sealing of a depleted well. Okay, that is plugging of well. Aside from that, when we say plugging of a well, how, here we are trying to refer to the process in which um, you permanently seal a well that is no longer productive using cement plugs at various depths to prevent fluid migration and to protect the environment. So it is a critical final stage in the life cycle of an oil or gas well, as it represents the process of permanently sealing a well that is no longer productive. So if this well is not useful anymore, we do plugging of well. We cement it. So this is because it's much more environmentally friendly, and of course, it is a sort of a safety procedure that ensures any geological formations stopped during the well's lively productive years remain isolated from the surface and groundwater. Okay, so that is plugging of well. Okay. Next item, number 6, we move on to that. Oil must be transported 500 miles efficiently. What method is best? Now, among all the options, this is just very easy because among all the options, there is only one answer, or there is only one term that is included in our discussion, and that is pipeline. Again, pipeline is a system of pipes um, where we use it to transport oil. May it be crude oil, natural gas, or refined oil. Okay, that is number 6. 7. Oh no, for a moment. I think my PPT is cropped. Okay, this one. Again, oil must be transported 500 miles efficiently. What method is the best? That is pipeline. Okay, we move on to number 7. Okay. Number 7, natural gas needs storage and international transport. What form should it take? Okay. In here, there's also one term that was included in our discussion, so it's much easier to really identify the answer. Natural gas needs storage and international transport. What form should it take? That is liquefied natural gas, or LNG. Remember, when it comes to LNG, that is a very cooled down oil, no, which is, or it ranges, or it has like around negative 162 degrees Celsius, or 200 negative 200 plus Fahrenheit, which is already very very cool. So we cool it down. The natural gas is cooled down so that it is much easier to transport it because it will turn as a liquid. Okay, that is liquefied natural gas. Number 7. 8. A well penetrates rock at multiple angles. What technique are used? Again, blank is a well penetrates rock at multiple angles. What technique is used? Is it vertical drilling, directional drilling, rotary drilling, and cable tool? Well, the only one item or term that was included in discussion is directional drilling. Remember directional drilling? That is in a way where we provide flexible drilling because it's not just going up straight down, but it can also move sides. So that is directional. That is directional drilling. Okay. Next, we move on to number 9. Okay, number 9. What maintains proper pressure during drilling operation? Is it the drill bits, drilling fluids, pipelines, or pumps? Share your answer in 10 seconds. Okay, what is our answer here? So, actually, there are only two options in which we've discussed during our discussion. Drill bits was no, yeah, three options. I'm sorry, three options. We talked about drill bits, drilling fluids, and pipelines. That's part of the discussion. Pumps is a general word which was used during my explanation or elaboration. Now, which among the three is our answer? Here, the question is, what maintains proper pressure during drilling operations? So, proper pressure, it maintains proper pressure. Now, when we say drill bit, that is the tool that we use to cut into rocks. So it does not maintain proper pressure because its main purpose or utilization is for cutting rocks. Next, we have pipelines. We already talked about pipelines earlier. This is a system of pipes for transportation of what? Of the natural gas or crude oil. So it remained here that our answer should be drilling fluids. Okay, that is correct. Now, what is a drilling fluid? This is a fluid that we use to cool down the drill bit because again, when we try to use drill bit and cut tracks, it creates tension, and this particular tension or immense friction is very hot. So of course we try to cool the drill bit down. No, we try to cool down the drill bit so that it's much it's much safer for everyone. So we do not we try to cool it down. Okay. So our answer here is drilling fluids. Next we have number 10. An oil field has 150 producing wells. What connects them all? Okay. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to answer. Okay, what is our answer here? Again, the item is an oil field has 150 producing wells. What connects them all? What connects them all? What do you think is our answer here? Now, among all the options, we have refineries, pipelines, and platforms. Here, we are talking about what we're talking about the one responsibility for connecting the oil field, not the oil field but the producing wells. So what connects them all? What do you think is the answer here? An oil field has 150 producing wells. Again, when I say wells, that is the thing, that is the specific hole that we dig out upon trying to find or extract oil from that. So what is it? What is the one that's connecting all these wells? That is the pipelines. Now, that is not refineries because refineries is more on trying to refine the crude oil or the raw oil. So it's not more on connection of the different wells because refineries is to each on their own. For platforms, that is also not the platforms because when we say platforms, remember that it talks about um, it talks about being a large offshore structure from which wells are drilled, produced, and maintained. So it's still a location or a place. Now, pipelines, on the other hand, this is a system of pipes, right, for transportation. So this pipeline, it connects different wells because, of course, we transport from one well to another well. So that is how the connection happens. So an oil field has 150 producing wells. What connects them all? Pipelines. Okay? So that is our answer. And that is all for these exercise, a scenario-based exercise. Now we have 10 items in total. Actually, there are only 7 items because one, two, 8 items, I'm sorry, because one and two cannot be seen. No? But anyway, thank you all for participating. And we're done with the exercises for um, exercises as an assessment for the oil and gas vocabulary discussion. And that also ends our discussion and talk about oil and gas vocabulary. I hope everybody has learned something from our discussion. No, that was a really long and stretched discussion because again I made it this way so that for you to really remember the words or the vocabulary that we used all throughout the discussions as well as the exercises because oil and gas vocabulary is much more difficult to really understand in one go, so we try to really um keep it talking about it. No, we repeat it again and again. Okay, thank you all. So that is all for today. I hope you all had a great time, not just for this evening, but also for the other evenings or sessions that we talk about oil and gas vocabulary. Do we have any questions? I think there are none. So that is all for today. Tomorrow we're going to start a new topic. And not tomorrow, but next meeting, but we're going to start a new topic. Okay? So that is all for today. Goodbye everyone and good night.